Have you ever wondered how a few jokes can send the most powerful man in the world into a Twitter frenzy? What makes Donald Trump lose his cool so quickly? Is it his thin skin? Or is there more to it than meets the eye? In 2018, when Donald Trump was still the President of the United States, he found himself in an unexpected battle with late-night talk show host Jimmy Kimmel. The story goes that Trump, apparently infuriated by Kimmel's monologues, directed his staffers to call Disney to rein in Kimmel. The reports even stated that at least 2 calls were made from the White House to express the president's anger. So, what could possibly provoke such a response? Could it really be just a few jokes? Well, it turns out Kimmel had struck a nerve. It wasn't just your average roast. Jimmy Kimmel was about to reveal some juicy secrets about Trump's personal life, and they were the kind of revelations that would make anyone uncomfortable. But did the president know what he was in for? When he took on Kimmel, the master of political satire, Kimmel's approach was classic, starting with his usual jabs at Trump's infamous hair. We've all heard the jokes. Is it alive? Does it have its own Twitter account? Kimmel had the crowd in stitches as he poked fun at the president's signature look. But that was just the warm-up. The real bombshell came when Kimmel revealed that, according to his sources, Trump snores so loudly that it sounds like a freight train had a baby with a chainsaw, and that the baby then learned to play the bagpipes. It's hard not to imagine Melania trying to sleep beside that racket, and just like that, Kimmel had the audience hooked. But Kimmel didn't stop there. He went on to reveal that Melania Trump reportedly sleeps with noise-canceling headphones to block out her husband's snoring. Imagine that. The First Lady, who often remains a quiet and distant figure in the public eye, possibly finding peace only by shutting out the sound of her husband's sleep habits. It's hard to picture the Trump's marriage without that strange detail hanging in the air. And just like any comedian worth their salt, Kimmel wasn't going to let this moment pass without exploiting it. He followed up with a hilarious dig about Trump's apparent fear of stairs. Yes, you heard that right. Kimmel claims that Trump is terrified of stairs, and apparently, the former president has gone to great lengths to prove otherwise. Trump tweeted about his perfect health and tremendous stair-climbing abilities, making sure the world knew that he wasn't afraid of a flight of stairs. But somehow, it all felt a little desperate, as though Trump was trying to convince everyone that he was the picture of strength and vitality, while the rest of the world was just laughing at his expense. The audience could hardly contain themselves. Kimmel had struck gold with his commentary. The room buzzed with laughter. And it wasn't just because Kimmel was funny. It was the absurdity of it all, the idea of a president getting so worked up over a few jokes. And with every new revelation, Trump's reaction became even more extreme. If Kimmel's jabs were a comedy show, Trump's tweets were like an insult-laden spectacle. He called Kimmel unfunny Jimmy and a loser. As the jokes grew more personal, Trump's Twitter tirade escalated into familiar territory of fake news, witch hunts, and the usual Trumpian rhetoric. It was like watching a tennis match, except instead of tennis balls, there were just insults flying back and forth. But Kimmel wasn't fazed. The comedian knew exactly what he was doing. In fact, he seemed to relish in the chaos he had created. After all, this was the same Trump who once tried to sue Bill Maher over a joke about an orangutan, a lawsuit that ended in utter failure. It's almost like Trump's ego was too fragile for any criticism, no matter how lighthearted. Of course, this isn't the first time Trump has tried to silence his critics. Kimmel pointed out that Trump once floated the idea of using campaign finance laws to punish comedians. He even suggested that anti-Trump material on shows like Saturday Night Live could be illegal, claiming that jokes about him were campaign contributions to the Democratic Party. Trump's thin-skinned reaction to satire seemed more like a personal vendetta against those who dared to mock him. In a bizarre turn of events, Kimmel revealed that Trump had been venting about late-night hosts during his 2024 campaign. Apparently, Trump wasn't just angry at Kimmel. He wanted to punish all late-night comedians. He even said he wanted to lock up the late-night hosts for making fun of him. As absurd as it sounds, it highlights how far Trump is willing to go when his image is under attack. Is it a thin-skinned reaction, or is there a deeper agenda at play? Kimmel, ever the professional, kept his cool as the Twitter storm raged on. Trump, on the other hand, seemed to be digging himself deeper with every tweet. It was as if he couldn't help himself. The more he tweeted, the more ridiculous it became. Kimmel's jokes were landing like punches, and Trump's responses were making the situation even more laughable. But here's the real question. Is Trump really this sensitive? Or is it all part of a bigger plan? Could he be playing into the narrative that Kimmel set up for him? After all, nobody could be this thin-skinned, right? This is the same man who once fought with a bald eagle during a photo shoot. So maybe, just maybe, the version of Trump we see on social media is the real deal. Maybe the Donnie diapers we see online are exactly what they seem. He's genuinely this sensitive. And there's no acting involved. Kimmel's roast of Trump's marriage and personal life sparked a chain reaction that no one could have predicted. Trump's Twitter fingers went into overdrive, and the more he tweeted, the more ridiculous his defenses became. It was like watching a comedy show unfold in real time. And just when you thought it couldn't get any more absurd, Kimmel dropped another bombshell, further pushing Trump to the edge. It was as though Kimmel had figured out the secret to getting under Trump's skin. In the end, Trump's over-the-top reactions just proved Kimmel's point. He's not the tough, unshakable president he likes to portray. Instead, he's a man whose ego is so fragile that even the late-night comedian's jokes can make him lose his cool. And what's even more fascinating is how Trump's own actions, his tweets, his threats only made him look worse. So, what does this all mean? Is it just a few jokes gone too far, or is there something more at play? One thing's for sure, Jimmy Kimmel has found a way to get under Trump's skin like no one else. And as long as Trump keeps reacting the way he does, Kimmel will keep serving up the laughs, much to the dismay of the former president. But at the end of the day, maybe the real joke is on Trump. He just doesn't realize it yet.